It's Ash from Super Videos. In this video, we're going to be talking about All Out War in Season 8. We're going to talk about the format of Season 8 with the war coming up, how long I think the war is going to take. And I'm also going to include 2 articles where Scott M. Gimple basically did an interview talking about Season 8. So first, I'm going to give my thoughts. So I believe that Season 8 is going to include All Out War in its entirety. So we're going to see All Out War play out in the entire Season 8. So All Out War is not going to be in the first half. I think it's going to be in both the first half and the second half. I think we're going to have All Out War Part 1 in the first half and Part 2 in the second half. I've actually got a lot of questions in recent Q&As asking me about All Out War and the format. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be an entire season of All Out War. Now, in terms of whether they can actually have it be a full season, I think they can, because just for one, in the comic book, there's enough story for All Out War to be long in the TV show anyway. But also, just to add to that, there's 2 more things in the TV show that kind of expand the war. One is the Scavengers. So in the TV show, we have the Scavengers, who didn't exist in the comics. So that's going to add another sort of complexity to the war, and that's going to expand it. And also Oceanside as well, because in the comics, Oceanside is not really involved in the war. But I think in the TV show, we're going to see Oceanside be a part of the war as well. So because of that, I think there's another sort of complexity or part of the story that's going to be added in for the TV show, which is going to help expand the All Out War arc to be an entire season. The other thing is that in the TV show, we know Negan has many outposts. So the Saviors don't just have one outpost, they have many outposts. But in the comics, that wasn't the case. In the comics, Negan had like maybe 1 outpost and then the Sanctuary. So there wasn't really a lot of things that they could do from that point of view. Like, the group didn't need to attack many different outposts and things like that. But in the TV show, there's many outposts. So we're gonna see that be integrated in the stories. We may see one episode be just them attacking one outpost, and then the other outpost, and then maybe back and forth. So it's not like they're just gonna attack the Sanctuary and that's gonna be the end of the war. From the survivors' point of view, they're gonna have to attack the outposts as well. So that's also gonna add another sort of complexity to the war, and it's gonna expand the war as well. Now, speaking of outposts, we know that there was one outpost that got eliminated. So back in Season 6, Rick and the other survivors went and killed the Saviors in their sleep in one of the outposts. So that one outpost is eliminated. But also, we know that there's probably more outposts. There's obviously the Sanctuary, but there's also another outpost that one chick Savior took Michonne to. If you remember, in Season 7, Episode 8, I think, Michonne took one of the Saviors and told her that she wants her to take her to Negan. Of course, the Savior takes her to one of the outposts. And if you remember, from that one shot we get of that outpost, and I don't even think it's an actual outpost, I think it's just an open field, and there's like a bunch of Saviors. So that's one outpost that's unknown, that's out there, that they're gonna need to deal with once this war starts. The other outpost is most likely the outpost that's related to the kingdom. So we know Gavin, who's the lead savior that deals with the kingdom, hasn't really been seen other than the episodes where we see the kingdom. So it's obvious that there's probably an outpost just for Gavin and his group that's close to the kingdom. So that's one outpost. The other outpost is most likely Simon's outpost, because Simon is the person that deals with the hilltop, and he probably has an outpost close to the hilltop as well. So there's that outpost as well. And there's probably many other outposts that we didn't really get to see and they didn't talk about, but they're probably there. Just something else that I remembered, if you remember in Season 6, when Maggie and Carol were taken hostage, we saw another kind of mini outpost as well in that episode. So that's probably another outpost. I don't know if there's more people there or if that's just a one-time thing, but there's more outposts like that Rick and the others are going to have to deal with. And like I said, that's going to add to the complexity of the war and it's going to expand it. So because of that, I think there's probably enough material and story for them to have All Out War be an entire season. So now let's get to the articles. The first article comes from moviephone.com. I'll leave a link to this article and the next one in the description below so you can go and read it yourself. But in that article, there's a part where it's quoting something that Gimple said in one of the interviews he did about Season 8. So I'm basically going to read the quote. Gimple says, "I say it's going to be bigger. It's going to be more intense. I say these things and I've meant them every year. And I think we've actually accomplished that this year. Same thing. More intense. The first 4 episodes will melt people's minds and break their television." So that's pretty cool that he's talking about Season 8. Of course, the hype that they give us doesn't really guarantee that it's going to be the best episode or the best season because they do this all the time. They just hype it. But there's something very interesting here that he said. He said the first 4 episodes will melt people's minds. So that probably means that the first 4 episodes are going to be insane. And since episode 100, it's going to be Season 8, episode 1, it kind of makes sense for the first episode to be insane, but 2, 3, and 4, that's very interesting. And that indicates that Season 8 is going to be fast-paced, at least the first half. And just to connect that with what I said previously, there is some sort of contradiction, because if the first 4 episodes are going to be insane and the first half is going to be very fast-paced, then that means that they're going to fit a lot of material in that first half, which means that there's a possibility that All Out War may just be one half. I hope that's not the case. I definitely hope that All Out War is an entire season of material, so all of Season 8. But this quote from Gimple does scare me a little bit. But it also gets me excited because the first 4 episodes being very fast-paced and being insane gives us an indication that at least the first half of Season 8 is going to be pretty amazing. So that's going to be cool. The next article comes from screenrants.com. Again, I'll leave the link in the description. That's another interview Gimple did. I don't know if it's part of the same interview or not, but this is an interview Gimple did with TV Line. And I'm quoting here. Gimple said, "It's going to be different. They aren't going to meet in Alexandria every weekend and do that. There are twists and turns to it. Definitely some small-scale things and some large-scale things, and a whole different momentum to the story. Now that the various fractions are in public conflict and everything is on the table as far as everybody knows who everybody is to each other and what's going on, the narrative changes a lot. It's going to become a bit more kinetic and fast-moving because that's where the story is going. The content is definitely going to be determining the form." So again, that gets me very excited because he's talking about all of these different things about large scale, small scale. So it seems like all of the All Out War arc in the TV show is not just going to be them attacking. It might be planning, it might be attacking different outposts, it might be just looking at different communities, talking within communities, things like that, which I'm very excited for. But also, there's a bit of contradiction between this and also the previous interview he did. Because in the previous interview, he said the first 4 episodes are going to melt your minds and they're going to be very insane and fast-paced. But then in this article, it seems like he's saying the entire season is going to be like that. So there's a bit of a contradiction and it's difficult to actually know what he's referring to. But like he's saying here, it's going to be kinetic, it's going to be fast-paced and fast-moving. So that's basically a continuation of what he said in the previous interview and also what I said at the beginning of the discussion. So it seems like Season 8 is going to be very fast-paced. It's going to cover a lot of material. It's going to be a lot of both large-scale and small-scale story as well. Now, in terms of a definite Season 8 is going to be a half or full season, I'm not quite sure. Like I said, I hope that it's an entire season, but based on these 2 interviews, we can't be sure. Because with what Gimple is saying, there's a possibility that it might be just a half season. But again, there's contradiction with the interviews he's done as well. So it's difficult to know for sure. We're going to have to wait for more information. We're going to have to wait for more images, promotional images, and also the trailer to kind of be sure about what we think is going to happen in the first half at least. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.